Joining us now on Naples Daily Newsmakers is Ashley Kerr from the Low Income Housing Coalition of Alabama, who's here in Collier County for this conference put on by the United Way. Thank you for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.
We hear a lot of conversation down here back and forth. Okay, what's affordable housing? What's gap housing? What's workforce housing? Does that really matter what you call it?
No, and it's a really great question because I heard lots of different terms being thrown out today. The point is we're talking about safe, decent, and affordable homes for all. And that means the entire spectrum, from people who are experiencing homelessness to people who make $5 million and more a year. I mean, it's really talking about all different types of housing, especially those right now who are priced out of the market here in Collier County.
And why should people watching this program today care about this issue?
Well, it's really a community involvement and investment, right? So when we reduce blight and when we create homes for all, then we have better property values, and we have children who succeed in school, and we have families who can thrive and focus on work in their communities and put more out there than if they're really worried about where they sleep at night. That's just a real problem when you don't have a safe place to stay at home.
Here in Florida, we've got the Sadowski Trust Fund, and you've set your own state trust fund up in Alabama. Is this something that is entirely a state operation that it should be, or should there be local involvement in terms of trust funds to address this issue?
There are lots of different types. And there are hundreds of different types actually across the country. You can do statewide, and oftentimes you do statewide before you start doing county municipality. But you could create a housing trust fund in Naples. You could create a housing trust fund in Collier County. You could even do a regional. So maybe Lee County, Collier County, and some other surrounding counties. And you could create a fund there that could be used to either create or rehabilitate homes that are safe, decent, and affordable.
You've seen different ways of collecting money to get into this fund. What are some ideas that you brought here to suggest as ways, where can this money be collected from? Should it just be a developer contribution, or are there other ways too?
Sure. There's lots of different ways that you can do it, and the most common one across the country is some sort of document recording fee or a transfer tax. So the mortgage record tax is what I was talking about today. It's what happens when people purchase or refinance a home. And that seems to be pretty popular because it's tied to property, right? Versus, let's just say you wanted to do a cigarette tax or a soda tax. That'd really be looking more to maybe some public health initiatives. This, when it's tied to property, often makes sense for a housing trust fund. But you could have banks with some of their Community Reinvestment Act money pool money together into a housing trust fund. There's lots of different ways and innovative ideas about how to put money into a housing trust fund.
And so the money gets in there, then how is that distributed out to actually create those homes that you're talking about?
It's usually through a competitive application that happens every year. You have developers and nonprofits that actually put in and try to apply for creating either single family or multifamily home ownership or rental. And you can even do rehabilitation. In Alabama, and I think it makes sense here in Collier County too, we have the opportunity to actually divert funds for disaster recovery. We have tornadoes in Alabama, and we also get some of the hurricanes. You all obviously are much more susceptible to that, but you could actually use housing trust fund dollars for disaster recovery in addition to new construction.
So you came down here for this conference here at the Hilton Naples. What do you say to the community in terms of how do we get started on this?
So I think you have a tremendous asset here with the United Way, who is very much focused and in serving the community, and also bringing this idea of the need for affordable homes, and really I think can spearhead and sort of charge this forward in trying to come up with committees and different folks who are willing to be a part of the solution. So I say start with the United Way, think about some other folks, and make it a collaborative effort. This is about our community. That's, I talk about it in Alabama, but this is your community. And this is about your home and my home and homes for folks that currently don't have any. So let's make the community better for all, and let's get started.
Ashley Kerr, we want to thank you for coming down here and speaking to the conference here today in Naples, and also for joining us here today on Naples Daily Newsmakers.